Hello and welcome, dear friends. Today the topic of discussion is, retrograde planets. According to Bhrigu Nandi Nadi, if you have not subscribed to my channel, then please do subscribe. So let us look at the chart, friends. In this chart you can see that Jupiter is retrograde in the 9th house, in the sign of Aries. Aries, Mars is Jupiter's friend, okay? So Jupiter is also strong, and Jupiter is retrograde. Retrograde planets are very strong, okay? But because it is retrograde, Jupiter will also have 50% aspect and presence in the 8th house where Rahu is there already. So Jupiter Rahu strong conjunction is forming in the 8th house, which is also called Guru Chandal Yoga. Okay. Now friends, retrograde planet, if it gives very good results in the first part of life, it may not give very good results in the second part of life. So in the case of this native, female native, in the first part of her life she got wonderful results related to higher education because of retrograde Jupiter. She was the topper, the state topper. Her name was there in newspapers. She was interviewed by news channels. So she had a brilliant career, but then after the age of 30 to 35 years, there has been a sort of downfall in the career or in her prosperity also, because she also got a job in a college, teaching job, which is also connected to Jupiter, which she had to leave due to certain circumstances. So Jupiter's results, there will be a deficiency in Jupiter's results in the second part of life, that is after say 30, 35, 40 years. That is seen. Then also friends, you will see that Jupiter is forming a conjunction with Rahu in the 8th house. In the sign of Pisces, Jupiter is also present in the sign of Pisces now, which is Jupiter's own sign. So Jupiter has some strength, no doubt. But after all, it is a conjunction with Rahu. So the native has health complaints. She has health problems. She has problems related to, acidity, and she has gastric trouble. So that native, yes, she has all these problems. Then also she had some problems, related, some genital diseases also she had, because of which she was under treatment. So all these things can be seen, because 8th house, 8th house refers to all whatever is hidden, yes, also. Then what else we can say? 8th house is also the house of sorrow, and and disease is something which gives us sorrow, and breath related problems. Sinusitis problems, the native may have any kind of nerve problems, spondylitis, anything. So that is also seen, because Rahu and Jupiter conjunction, it will give the native health problems, yes. Then now the native, she had to leave her job and she has her own coaching center, but then she was a state topper, yes. So now Jupiter is giving her, you can say, average results. She has her own coaching class where some students are there, she teaches them. Okay. Also friends, we have to note the degrees between Rahu and Jupiter, the difference of degrees. Now you see friends, Jupiter is in the 9th house, retrograde Jupiter. So Jupiter will now travel towards the 8th house, and in a year Jupiter, that is for 120 days, Jupiter becomes retrograde, and Jupiter travels 1 degree in 12 days. When Jupiter is retrograde, it travels 1 degree in approximately 12 days. So 120 days, how many degrees Jupiter will travel backwards? 10 degrees. 10 degrees Jupiter will travel backwards to the 8th house. Now Jupiter is traveling backwards, and if it travels backwards, and Rahu is waiting for Jupiter. Rahu is also a planet which represents the mouth of the Kalpurush, the mouth, and also you can say Rahu is the dragon's head, dragon's mouth. So the native may fall into the dragon's mouth because Jupiter is moving backwards. So there should be at least a difference of 11 degrees. That's what I think, between Jupiter and Rahu. Retrograde Jupiter, if retrograde Jupiter is ahead of Rahu, as you can see in this chart, it is ahead of Rahu, then there must be at least a difference of 11 degrees. Otherwise there might be some threat to even the native's life. There might be, but this also can be, situation can be avoided if the aspect of Venus is falling on Jupiter, or if the aspect of transit, Jupiter in transit, transit Jupiter, if that aspect is also falling while Jupiter becomes retrograde, if the transit Jupiter also aspects, then also it may be Jupiter can gain that aspect from the transit Jupiter, because Jupiter will, if it looks at the transit Jupiter, if it can aspect the transit Jupiter, then it will derive strength from that Jupiter. That also can be there. Or if in transit it can derive strength from Venus. If Venus is in transit, it can derive strength. Or if in the natal chart only Venus is aspecting, because you see, Venus is the planet which has the knowledge of Sanjivani. It is called Sanjivani, means Venus is the only planet which is represented by Shukracharya, and Shukracharya, that is why Venus is such a benefic actually. Shukracharya knew how to give life even to a dead person. He could even bring back a dead person to life, because he knew Sanjivani, which is called Sanjivani Vidya. That is a knowledge of Sanjivani. Only Shukracharya had that knowledge, and Shukracharya represents planet Venus. So Venus's beneficial aspect, if it falls, then even this death-like situation can be avoided. So at least this female native, there is a difference of 15 degrees. 15 to 20 degrees difference is there between retrograde Jupiter and Rahu. So that is why she is safe and secure, and there is no threat to her. I mean, there is no threat to her well-being, because there is she is at a safe. Jupiter is the Karaka significator of the native. So Jupiter is at a safe distance. Retrograde Jupiter is at a safe distance from Rahu. So that we have to keep in mind. And also, when in the 8th house retrograde Jupiter is forming a conjunction with Rahu, so there can also be a possibility of extramarital relationship, extramarital or any kind of illegitimate relationship. Even if the native is unmarried, then also she may have any kind of illegitimate relationship. She may be involved in such a relation, because Rahu is a rule breaker. Rahu doesn't believe in following any kinds of rules, customs, traditions of society, institutions, even marriage. Rahu doesn't believe in anything. Rahu breaks all customs. So an 8th house, because it is also the 8th house, yes, where you have the sign of Scorpio, yes, in the Kalpurush Kundli. So that is why that is also seen, because that also represents in a way 8th house energy. It is also associated with sexual energy. Yes, the transformation and Scorpio energy can also be associated that way. So that is why if this conjunction is now forming in the 8th house, so there is a strong possibility that the native may develop some sort of illegitimate relationship. So then the native has to be careful. Otherwise what will happen, Rahu will become even more powerful, and Rahu will empower Jupiter. Jupiter is the significator of the native. So Rahu will empower the Jupiter, and then this conjunction between this retrograde Jupiter and Rahu, that is not going to be good for the native's overall well-being and prosperity. So the native has to be very, very careful about that. So friends, that's all I wanted to say today about retrograde Jupiter and what will happen if it moves backwards, and if Rahu is already waiting there, and so what consequences may take place. So there's nothing to worry. Even if Venus is not aspecting, suppose say Venus is not, and suppose degrees are less than 11 degrees between this retrograde Jupiter and Rahu, and Venus's aspect or Jupiter's natal transit Jupiter's aspect or Venus's aspect is also not there, then I think that you should go to some a saint who is almost like Shukracharya, like some saint who is who has done so much of you can say yoga and meditation, and who is an elevated soul. So that sort of saint, who he can do some puja and some yagya, some puja, some ritual he can do to help the native come out of this problem, so that even if the degrees, the difference is less than 11 degrees, then immediately you should go to some saint who knows about Sanjeevani and about all those rituals, so that the native can be safe and secure. Because yes, to every problem, there is a solution. We have to look for it. Yes. So friends, with this thought, I take your leave. Please do subscribe to my channel, and please do share this video. Thank you so much.